3 years. That's how long it took me to double the revenue of a dog business twice. We went from 1,000 square foot garage to a 6,000 square foot facility. I had 4 employees to 10, and I want to tell you that story. Not because it's impressive, but because of what I learned inside that nobody talks about. Because here's the thing, the business was dogs, and it could have really been anything. What I was actually learning was how to build a business, how to scale it, and then how to survive the moments where you think you're going to lose everything. And then ultimately, how to push through the stuff going on in your own head that slows everything else down. So today, I want to walk you through 3 things that actually move the needle, and none of them are what you'd expect from a dog training company. Now, lesson number 1 was building quality relationships. Now, this doesn't matter what type of business you have, but what we found and what allowed us to double that business twice in 3 years was simply taking a focus on that client. Now, that meant whether it was through a website submission and an email, a phone call in our face, or in the community, right? It was taking time to notice what they wanted, took time to listen when they were talking to us, and then even be there with them while they were struggling with their dogs, which that can apply to any business with whatever service or need that they have. Now, once you took the time to do that, we quickly found that everybody started referring on a regular basis. Referrals from businesses, referrals from people were happening faster than we were even getting in front of them through ads. So relationships are one of those key pieces that will help you grow your business, and then even maintain it when things get tough. Now, lesson number 2. And lesson number 2 comes down to one of the scariest moments, and those moments that a lot of us will find is when I almost lost it all. Now, I think back and things were going absolutely incredible, right? We had doubled business twice in the 3 years, and then COVID hit, which kind of got business was going well, and then COVID hit, and it got a little scary. But then once everything opened up, business skyrocketed. Like, things were just absolutely incredible. That we were backed out 2 months on training. We had business was doubling again. We had built ourselves up to about 14, 15 different trainers, and life was exciting until it wasn't. As most of the world felt, eventually inflation kicked in, and everything almost came to a screeching halt. And this was a struggle. Over a 1.5 year time frame, there were multiple months that I questioned, am I going to be able to keep the business? Is it going to drop? In fact, I remember coming down to 1 week, a final week of one of the years, my wife and I discussing that if something good does not happen in the next week, we're going to have to shut it down. And throughout that process, we tried multiple things to try and bring business back in. But it ultimately came down to a couple of key things that helped the business realign itself to begin becoming profitable again and finding success in the community. And the first was let's get back to the basics. What were we doing prior to this false growth that came after COVID? And bringing the business back down. These are key things to kind of think about. What were the core things that the business was successful at before it really took off? Now, the next was taking a look at simple operational things that impacted labor and how we were doing business. Were there things that could be cleaned up? And sure enough, there was lots of operational things that you're able to tweak, which streamlined your client's journey, and it streamlined how well things ran in your company and allowed you to be a little bit more profitable. And then last but not least, we made our offers so good that people couldn't say no. You guys, I think this is a missed opportunity for a lot of people. Now, there was a lot of dog trainers out there still trying to pull people in. There's a lot of people that still needed dog training, but they weren't spending their money in near as many places. And so what had to happen was helping them recognize that this offer is so good, it would be ridiculous to turn it down. And once you put those key pieces together, the business started to sustain itself. First, it started kind of to level out, and then it started to grow again when a lot of other companies in the same industry were still closing their doors or losing clients. Now we come down to lesson number 3. And This is something that a lot of people have in common, whether they're starting their business or they've are and trying to just like, what do I do here? I don't know what to do, to all the way that I just started it and I'm getting stuck. And that's the mental block. We run into those mental blocks and they're so common, yet most of us don't necessarily realize that. I remember as we went through the struggles, the mental block that was starting to happen was, am I meant to be an entrepreneur? Do I need to just give it all up, shut it down, and move on? Who am I to be doing this? And what starts to happen is we tell ourselves these things over and over until we start to believe it. Now, that is one of the core lessons that helped me align and build that business and build the Dreamer Project from the ground up. Because once we can get past those mental blocks, we are far more capable than we'll ever know. So take a moment, shift that thought from, I'm not worthy of this, I can't do this, to what can I do today? What can I learn today? How can I take one small step today because I am capable of taking a step? Now, with these 3 lessons, if that has you leaving and sitting there in your mind going, I have a business idea right now. Or maybe you've even started something and you feel stuck. I built a free community called the Dreamer Project specifically for people at that stage. The link's going to be down in the description. So come introduce yourself. Jump in. This won't give you all the tools, but it'll give you that foot and that step forward. And hopefully it opens the door to the rest of the tools that you need to grow your business.